So, Kyle, I got to get your thoughts. Are the Cowboys for real, or are the Rams just that bad?
I think it's a little bit of both. When it comes to the Cowboys, they've been like this the entire season so far. They're not lighting up the scoreboard offensively with Cooper Rush at the helm, but he's able to put them in positions where they're at least getting points on the board. And as far as I see it, it's a winning formula for Dallas as a whole. And not only that, they're getting good contributions from Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. And in this game in particular, I thought they stepped up to par here. I think combined between the two of them, they had about 150 yards rushing. And, going up against the Rams on the road and being able to do that, to be able to move the ball up and down effectively against that Rams defense, I thought that was a solid mark for the Cowboys offense today. Like you said, Kev, obviously Cooper Rush didn't light it up. He only had 100 to 105 yards passing, but he didn't have any turnovers. And look, he's not going to be the best quarterback that we've ever seen play the sport, but he's not screwing it up for the Cowboys at this point. And as far as I see it, it works out for them as a whole. But really, when it comes to the Cowboys, their defense is by far and away the biggest takeaway here. They played outstanding. They held the Rams to 10 points. Now, granted, the Rams have had their issues. I'll get into that a little bit later. But with this Cowboys defense, I've just been shocked at how good they've been playing as a unit. Their pass rush has been solid, and we saw it once again today. They had 5 sacks against Matt Stafford. This is one element that I think when Kevin and I were assessing the Cowboys before going into the season that we completely missed. Now, granted, I did pick the Cowboys to represent the NFC East at the end of the year as division champs, but even I didn't see this defense playing at this level this early. And it's really just been Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs has been solid so far. I mean, this is a good unit. Now, I don't know if it's going to maintain that way once Dak gets back into the fold and they start hitting the middle part of the year, but they've been incredible on the defensive side of the ball. And if they're able to maintain it, they're going to be a really good team shaping up in the NFC East here. Now, let me kick it to the Rams here. The Rams have been very disappointing this year so far, and this has gone long enough as far as the Super Bowl hangover is concerned. We're 5 weeks into the season. I give a little bit of leeway for the first month because as far as I see September, it's an extension of the preseason. Teams are still figuring it out. Well, we're 5 weeks in now. And when I see this team offensively, they just don't have it. They essentially have the same personnel. Granted, they did lose OBJ and they lost Robert Woods, but I'm just shocked that they just can't get it together offensively. And the way that I see it is Matt Stafford is really struggling. And I don't know if it's going to continue, but through the first 5 weeks, I have not been impressed by Matt. He's turning the ball over consistently, and they're just not able to get any sort of consistent rhythm on the offensive side of the ball. And this is one of those situations where, we're looking the Rams dead in the face right now. And it's like, can you step up offensively to get points on the board? Because I think that their defense is actually pretty solid. It's just that their offense is doing no favors for them. And until the offense kind of gets it into gear, I think that defense is going to be on their heels by and large until they get it together. I'm just really kind of worried about the Rams right now because this team should be performing a lot better than what they've been playing for the first 5 weeks. They still have plenty of time to be able to turn it around. I'm not saying like their season is over. They're at a 2-3 record. You could be in a lot worse situations than that. But yeah, the way that I see it, the Rams got to step it up here. But I mean, just to kind of round out this whole analysis, the Cowboys are legit. They're playing like it. Their offense is doing enough. They're not turning the ball over. And defensively, they are bringing hellacious pass rushes and they're forcing turnovers. If they're able to do that consistently for the rest of the year, this is going to be an interesting team, especially when Dak gets back. And Dak's going to be returning within a week or two from that thumb injury. And as far as I see it, if that defense can maintain that level of play when Dak comes back, yeah, the Cowboys are going to be the driver's seat. That's just how I see it.
So obviously at this point, I am just looking at this from a Dallas perspective at the moment. Cooper Rush could have played a lot better. Obviously, there were some plays where I thought that there were some receivers that dropped some passes that maybe ran the wrong route. Again, he only had 6 incompletions, but overall, he did not flash anybody with the performance that he had. But again, like Kyle alluded to, he did enough for them to win. The defense kind of ran the show today, pressuring Matt Stafford, quarterback hits, tackles for losses. I mean, batted down passes, turnovers, you name it. They did everything they needed to do. Now, I'm going to lean on something that a lot of people continue to tell me I'm crazy about in that freaking TikTok video that I'm talking about and say that the Cowboys' rush offense is atrocious. You want to know how many rushing yards they had today as a team? They had 163. In 3 out of their 5 games, they have rushed for over 100 yards. Not necessarily anything crazy, but they're middle of the pack in the NFL. If you continue to run the ball as effectively as they have between Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, and you continue to dump the ball over the middle of the field, gain 10 yards, 5 yards at a clip. Cooper Rush doesn't have to do anything fancy. Like we've already said 100 times, you don't need to go for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns to win. Like Kyle said, if Cooper's successful here, why in the hell is Dak not going to be successful? This is going to be a scary team because this offense continues to get it going just enough. This defense is already firing. We already know that the connection between Dak Prescott and those receivers, as well as Dak Prescott and that offensive line with how he can read certain defensive schemes, make adjustments at the line of scrimmage, he's proven to be very good at what he does, albeit he hasn't won in the postseason by any means. But right now we're in the regular season, so we'll give him a pass. But we already know Cooper Rush is not Dak, and Dak Prescott is 10 times better than Cooper. The only reason we made the conversation about keeping Cooper in was because Dak was being accelerated from Jerry Jones and pressured. Maybe Dak can come back this week. We want Dak to be back as soon as possible. This is a thumb injury on his throwing hand, and last I checked, without your thumb, you can't exactly hold a football. So you guys need him to stay healthy and recover on a normal scheduled time as opposed to rushing him back 2-3 weeks early. If Cooper Rush is moving this offense just fine and the defense is carrying, why rush Dak back? I just don't understand the pressure that Jerry's putting on him to come back as early as he wants him to. And if next week is the timeline, then so be it. It'll be a showdown for the NFC East that I will be at, thankfully. The Eagles versus the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football is going to be crazy. But flipping it over to the Rams, Matt Stafford, 5 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions. He's been sacked probably a league-leading amount of times. I believe him and Matt Ryan lead the league in sacks, which is 21 after 5 weeks. And they have almost identical records in terms of touchdowns to interceptions. Obviously, Matt Ryan has a whole lot more fumbles, unfortunately. But these quarterbacks look very similar. I don't think Matt Stafford is washed. It's the offensive line. I think it's the fact that they can't get a rhythm going outside of throwing it to Cooper Kupp 100 times. He had 10 targets. The next closest person, Tyler Higbee had 10, but that was a lot of checkdowns. And then Ben Swarrick or Skowronek or whatever the hell his name is had 8. But it's really Cooper Kupp or nothing. And he had that 175-yard touchdown, and then the offense was unable to move successfully in the second half. They did not score at all. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, the Rams defense, like Kyle said, was able to do enough. They sacked Cooper Rush 3 times. They did what they needed to do to at least give the offense opportunities to put points on the board, but the offense is stagnant. Aaron Donald is exhausted. Bobby Wagner's not what he used to be. And Jalen Ramsey did pretty solid when he was put against Cooper Kupp one-on-one on the outside. But, Jalen doesn't necessarily...
You mean CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb, excuse me. I don't know why the hell I just went on that tangent. I feel like the Rams just aren't the same. And Odell Beckham wouldn't change this necessarily. It's not that different of a team. I think it's the offensive line with the retirement of Whitworth and the shuffling of some other pieces. This is prime example of a good team and a good Hall of Fame quarterback that doesn't have an offensive line. This proves the point of what I say about my team. If you don't have an offensive line, you're not going to be able to move the football effectively. So with that being said, Dallas moves to 4-1. They played an exceptional game, and then you go out and you pretty much just annihilate the Rams in every facet of the word. I know it was only a 12-point game, but when you shut them down in the second half to 0 points, that's the second time that's happened in this season alone. They lost to Buffalo week 1 the same exact way. And if Dallas's offense was a little bit more comfortable, you'd probably say that this could be easily a 21-point blowout. So kudos to them. We'll see what happens. And next week's game's going to be crazy, bro.